Hello everyone, it's your favorite piece of human garbage here, and to be 100% honest, I'm not I'm not all too happy right now. In fact, there's a lot of people who aren't all too happy right now. Why, you may ask? Because Gibson just became Gene Simmons if Gene Simmons was an entire company. Oh, good old Gibson. Yeah, those those robot tuners, you gotta love them, you know what I'm saying? Now, unless you live under a rock, you should know that recently the company just released a video called Play Authentic and quickly removed it due to backlash, I'm assuming. However, this being the internet, there's already many re-uploads of the video online, and many content creators have already made videos themselves on the subject, so I, I might as well, let's give it a watch, yeah?
Hey everybody, Mark Agnesi here for Gibson Guitars. And today I want to take a few minutes to talk to you about originality and what it means to play authentic.
Play authentic. 5 seconds into the video and I already hate this man.
You know, for 125 years now, Gibson's been shaping sound across generations, genres of music, and genders, all the way back to the turn of the century with Orville Gibson's innovations in mandolin building, through the 1920s with Lloyd Lohr's perfection of arch-topped instruments, to our fabulous flat tops of the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, which helped shape sound across all genres, to our semi-hollow body and solid body instruments of the late 1950s and early 1960s, which helped define the sound of rock and roll.
Okay, okay. I love how he doesn't mention anything after the 1960s, because he knows that the audience knows that there weren't any innovations from Gibson after the 1960s. Yeah, robot tuners, thanks. Great, guys. Really what we wanted. Great. Modern Flying V, thank you. Thank you.
Gibson's been innovating the whole time. And we want to talk to you today about some of those innovations. First, the one I got in my hands, the big daddy of them all, the Les Paul. This single cutaway carved maple top design originally came out in 1952 and is iconic to rock and roll as the name that it bears on the headstock.
Alright, so right off the bat, the infamous Les Paul design itself was actually stolen from Appleton guitars, which originally came out in 1943. So not too sure what you mean by playing authentic here, guys. If you want your authenticity, I would go for the Appleton, but you know what, let's just see.
In 1960, the introduction of the Gibson SG with its double-horned body. It's never been out of production. The only Gibson solid body guitar to always be in production since its creation in 1960.
And the SG only went into production in the first place because the Les Paul was so poorly received when it first came out.
We have the mouse-eared F-hold semi-hollow body.
Yikes, dude! You haven't been too nice to that thing, have you?
Designed with the ES 335, 345, and 355 that graced so many albums of the 50s and 60s, all the way to Ted McCarty's most iconic designs in the futuristic series, like the Flying V and Explorers, some of the most copied and imitated guitars of all times.
Okay, so about that. Gibson is suing Dean for quote-unquote stealing the Flying V, Explorer, and SG body designs, but you know, we'll get more into that later. Let's keep watching.
And not just our body shapes, but things like the shape of the headstock, that open book design or mustache kind of design.
You do realize that Orville Gibson stole that design too, right? Much like you also stole the Les Paul, there's mandolins with those quote-unquote open book designs from before Orville Gibson was even born. What are you trying to say here, Gibson? You cannot talk about playing authentic God, I hate that word now. Thanks.
The split diamond inlay that you'd find on the Les Paul Customer, the ES355, or that crown, or some people call it pineapple inlay that you'd find on the 335 of the Gibson SG. All of those innovations and design elements are trademarks of Gibson.
No, Mark. No.
Why does this matter? Well, for a few reasons. People ask us a lot about forgeries and counterfeit guitars, often of lower craftsmanship coming in from overseas.
Now, as I'm sure you've probably noticed, the quality of Gibson instruments has noticeably been decreasing recently, as it tends to do every few years, yet the price tag is staying the same. So you're paying, what, a few thousand, like $3,000, $4,000 for an instrument that's very likely to break and probably not going to play all that well. And these quote-unquote counterfeit companies that Mark Ignatius is going to call them later, they are not only making these guitars better than Gibson are, but they're also selling them at a lower price. So this isn't the first time this has happened. Gibson sued Ibanez back in the 1980s. You remember that? You remember that? Those were the days, weren't they? Those were...
But there's some common misconceptions about what a forgery is and what trademark infringement is. Any copy of any one of those designs that we've named is, in fact, by definition, a counterfeit Gibson guitar.
But doesn't matter if it's a counterfeit guitar, if it's honestly much better than yours. Like, come back when you have headstocks that don't snap off and G-strings that actually stay in tune.
What that means for a couple different people. To the manufacturers out there, we want you to know that you've been warned. We're looking out.
And with that statement, Gibson has dug themselves into a hole.
And we're here to protect our iconic legacy and the designs that we've created over generations. To all the people in the film and television and commercial industry, reach out to us. We want to work with you. Stop taping over the logos on the headstocks. By the way, that's not enough to get out of a trademark infringement anyway.
And with that statement, Gibson dug that hole even deeper. Thanks, guys. Great. Good to know that I can get sued for showing one of your guitars in a video. Really makes me want to work with you guys. Great. You guys are such a good company.
Contact us. We want to work with you. We want to be partners with you. We want to help bring authenticity to your projects.
Good God, that word. Authentic. Authentic. Mark, I will pay you to never say that word ever again in any form.
And this isn't about us trying to be bullies or trying to stifle the boutique marketplace. This is about protecting our legacy. 125 years of innovation and relevance in music. It's worth protecting, and it's our job, and we will continue to fight to protect our intellectual property. And to all the players out there, what does this mean? Well, it goes back to what we started talking about, being original and playing authentic.
For Christ's sake, Gibson, you cannot talk about being authentic or original in any case.
Gibson's been investing money in our factories, in our team of people working, in the content that we're creating to make the Gibson experience the best and make the best guitars we've made in 125 years.
Yeah, I don't need to say anything about that. That joke just writes itself.
And it's our goal that for the next 125 years coming, that will be the most relevant, the most loved, and most played guitar brand in the world.
If you want that goal to be achieved so badly because you just love stuffing your greedy little pockets, maybe you should start producing some actual quality instruments. That ever occurred to you? You ever think about that?
Be original, play authentic, and remember, only a Gibson is good enough.
Only a Gibson is good enough. The fact that you had the audacity to say that makes me want to take a shower. acid. Okay, well that video is pretty terrible. Whether you agree with what Gibson is saying or not, I'm pretty sure we can all safely say that this is objectively awful marketing. Like, thanks, you're making people not want to work with you. Great idea, guys, great. Now, speaking of which, remember how I said Gibson was suing Dean earlier? Yeah, let's talk more about that. Well, first of all, Dean is being sued for copying the Flying V and the Explorer body designs. Now, as I am recording this, I've just received the information that Gibson has already lost its trademark on the Flying V to Dean, so take everything that I say from here on with a grain of salt. Now, looking at them side by side, yeah, I'd say that's probably lawsuit worthy. They're almost identical, but I'd say they'd have a valid case against Dean, except for the fact that these have been in production for over 40 years now, and if you don't defend your case eventually, then you're just gonna lose the ability to do that. So I don't think Gibson can actually sue Dean here. And second of all, they're suing them also for the SG body design, which, unlike the V and Explorer designs, came out rather recently, so I definitely think they can sue Dean for this. And definitely looking at the design here, it's just an SG, so they definitely have the ability to sue them there. And third, the open book headstocks that Gibson adores so much, they're also suing Dean for that. Yeah, I don't see it at all. I don't know how they're gonna win this one. Why? And the last thing I'm gonna mention about them suing Dean is the Modern name. Now, as far as my knowledge goes, there is no Dean model called the Modern, or even one that resembles it, but I've heard a lot of people saying that they're suing them for the Dean ML design. Now looking at these two No. There's no goddamn way. Look, it's Diamond Doyle's signature guitar when he was in the band Pandora. Okay. So, if it hasn't occurred to you already, the ML design's basically a hybrid of the Flying V and the Explorer, so I don't know why they tried suing them off of copying the Modern, when really, if anything, it was copying the Flying V and the Explorer at the same time, but never mind. They can't sue them for that either, since the ML has also been in production for over 40 years. Now, Gibson is also suing a smaller, more recent company called Luna for allegedly stealing the ES335 design and the Hummingbird name. I think they probably have a case with the 335. That looks pretty damn similar. I don't really think they can sue them off of a name alone in the Hummingbird's case, since the two acoustics are nothing alike, but I'm not too sure about that one. Just remember that Gibson once tried to sell a Jimi Hendrix signature Strat. Let me say that again. Gibson once tried to sell a Jimi Hendrix signature Strat. If you're still watching, I will be shocked because you haven't died yet. So that's the recent controversy going on with Gibson. They need to get their shit together. Thanks for watching. Be original. Play authentic. And remember, only a Fender is good enough.